Okay, we've got one person. Is there anyone else who is joining us for the first time in person? Okay, so kindly introduce yourself. Let us know a bit about you.
Okay, so I'm Emmanuel. I'm Emmanuel, and I'm glad to be here. This is my first time, as you rightly said. So I'm actually new to PMI in total. I'm here to write my exam to certify. So I just want to join a chapter meeting and see how far. Yeah. For now, I'm only a student of PMI. Used to be an accounts officer, but then uh, due to one or two things, I'm doing a career change to project management. So.
Right, Emmanuel, it's very lovely to have you here. Please let's give him a warm welcome. Please say hi to him as well. Give him some words of encouragement for those who've written the PMP. It probably wasn't easy studying, going for the classes, and all of that. So just give him a few tips, some pointers here and there, so that he can pass and hopefully be joining us more often. Okay. Is there anyone else who maybe has been joining us more often online than in person? See someone smiling at me. I don't know if I should ask the person. Should I? All right, so one more person and then we'll get started.
Thank you, Katrin. Good evening, all. My name is Vida Blay. Like she said, I've been joining virtually all the time. Today, I decided to come and participate in person to have a feel of it. Happy to meet you all.
Thank you so much, Vida. And you are looking absolutely stunning. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So kindly give us the opening prayer so that we can start.
Let's pray. Oh Lord, we give you thanks, we give you adoration for making us come together here to learn and to understand and grow in our career. Father, lead us, guide us, teach us. Let us have knowledge, let us have understanding of whatever we are coming to do here. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. So we quickly zoom into our exactly business of the day. And a warm welcome to our online members as well. It's lovely to have you all. So I'm going to be doing a quick introduction of our speaker. I believe most of you know at least a bit about him. Maybe some bits, not everything, but most of you would, I believe, say that the first thing he is a military man. We've had a lot of personnel or people from the military join us, give us insights, give us tactics, help us in how to do project management better. So Dr. Captain Victor Abe is a corporate leader, security strategy, and leadership consultant. He's also a mentor and author with in-depth knowledge, understanding, and experience in diverse corporate operational environments and perspectives including supply chain manufacturing, oil and gas industries, etc., spanning over 20 years. Not only is he a distinguished veteran military leader, he's also the security manager at GOIL PLC, chief servant and managing partner of V5 Solutions Limited and FV Global Consult, respectively. He's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance, USA and Ghana. He's a member of the Institute of Directors, Ghana, member of Accra Zenith Lions Club, the host Leadership 360 TV program on Metro TV, an academic scholar with a doctorate in business administration and a master's degree in applied business research from the SBS, which is Swiss Business School, Switzerland, executive MBA, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Bachelor of Arts in Archaeology and Philosophy, the University of Ghana. He's done quite a lot, actually. He's also done, honestly, he's a lot. I don't know if we can project it for you to see, but I can share it if you're interested. But he's not only that, he's also a certified trainer in occupational safety and health management, as well as a few other things. He's the author of the book VUCA, VUCA, World and the Future of Corporate Strategy and Leadership, which was published in and launched in 2001 and is described by many corporate leaders as a masterpiece and a strategic leadership toolkit. He's got quite a number of awards, including the Hive Africa Global Leaders Award for Excellence that was in 2024. He also has the African Achievers Award, Leadership Excellence in Corporate Leadership and Entrepreneurship, I believe, or Enterprise rather, 2022, and the Humanitarian Awards Global Awardee, 100 Iconic Change Makers in Ghana and Africa, which was also in 2022. He was also the United Nations Distinguished Peacekeeping Medalist in Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, and DR Congo in 2020, in 2004, 2006, and 2011. He's a strong optimist and a strong advocate of effective and continuous leadership, innovation, and improvement. And he goes by the hashtag Learn, Engage, Lead, Accelerate. Let's warmly welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Captain Victor Abe.
Yep. So, as I said, it's a beautiful Friday. I'm excited to be here. I was expecting to see the whole room filled up, but again, I can understand Friday. Some people may choose to go and chill somewhere, others who want to come and acquire some knowledge, or others who want to attend to other important stuff. So, it is all good. This is me. I'm not a huge person. So, a lot of people may be thinking, this guy is a soldier man. It's true, very unassuming. But if I tell you the kind of stuff I have done or the country has used me to do, you pray to God for my life. So it's all good. All right. Have you come across that picture before? This is PlayStation made in Africa. Before before the European developed the thing, Africans were already having PlayStation. Do you agree? You remember your primary school where you have a lot of people, those days, either you close from school, then they pitch two people together, the other students will be watching, one side will be supporting one person, and they say, go on. That was when we were having PlayStation. Anyway, so I want to welcome all of us to the VUCA world. This is the VUCA world of project management. Whether we like it or not, it is the case that we find ourselves in the VUCA world. Some prefer to call it tuna, others call it bunny. They are all related. They are just a matter of semantics, so that other scholars believe strongly that in as much as the original acronym VUCA came from the military following 9/11, when the US was attacked, the War College felt that there was something significantly different from that kind of attack. So they wanted to understand what kind of world are we in that you see people go to that extent. Regardless of all the controls they have in place, they were able to penetrate. So that study brought them to the point where they described the environment as VUCA. That's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. One may ask why it's so volatile. Things are not stable. Every day in, day out, new things are coming up, and uncertain because we cannot tell what is going to happen next. As we sit here in Ghana today, most of us here cannot tell what will happen in by December to our inflation rate. Can we? We cannot. We are still anticipating and praying for the best, because in Ghana, prayer is the key to all problems. But they realize that the uncertainty gives birth also to complexity. That whatever occurs is very difficult to comprehend. So you need to do more to be able to appreciate what it is that will happen even the next. So predictions became very difficult, or as we speak, are very difficult. Projections in your budget. Beginning of the year, I believe that most of us as project managers budgeted for some figures. But as the year rolls or the months rolls by, we begin to realize that no, the estimated rate is no longer applicable. That is the VUCA world we are in. What it means is that we are not able to appreciate or comprehend what is happening. So we can only survive in the VUCA world if we keep an open mind. Our open-mindedness is what will give us room to learn, unlearn, and relearn in order to appreciate what is happening around us. So as project managers, our appreciation of the environment we find ourselves in is very crucial to project success. But that notwithstanding, there are basic things that we need to also do besides the understanding the environment. Tuna is just the same thing that they call turbulent, uncertain, non-linear, and then ambiguous. The other bunny is built the brittleness that surround the environment. So it looks very, it comes in the form of an illusory, it appears real, but it's not real. So the next moment it changes. Then non-linear and then incomprehensible. So that's about the bunny. So the VUCA, tuna, bunny, they're all the same thing, just a master of semantics. So the aim this evening is to just let all of us have an appreciation of how the military perspective, approaches project management. Every operation in the military is a project, because by our own professional definition, project has a beginning and an end. Is that also? So every operation is given a duration. Resources are allocated. The time is allocated. Material resources are provided and all that. So just to share perspectives from my own experience. But before I do that, let's look at the scope. So I'll quickly take us through a brief about my personal background so that you appreciate the kind of, let me say, what I have gone through to come to the point of, appreciating the significance of project management. And then we will talk about context definition of success. The topic is about accelerating success, insights from a distinguished military officer or whatever. So we need to contextualize the definition of success so that we are all on the same page. When we have established that project success means this, then what are the rudiments or the underpinnings of that success or those success factors? But before then, my journey. Very young guy, right from University of Ghana after graduation, national service, straight into the military. Then trained for 23 months, 23 months, and then commissioned as a lieutenant and posted to the parachute battalion or the special forces unit in Tamale in September 2003. By December, Cote d'Ivoire war was on. So I was among the first few people dispatched straight to Cote d'Ivoire. That means that all the knowledge you acquired, practicality has come. So go and deliver. Now, what I will stress here is that at this point, it doesn't matter how long you have been working. It is about the knowledge, the leadership skills, your acumen, your competence is what is required. Your maturity is what is required. So I went. There are people who they were even older than my dad, but I had to go with them. They were part of my team. But you are the leader. 30 good soldiers, well-trained soldiers. Now, this is the catch. I'll come back to that. The catch is that the 30 people are part of my team. But we, the leaders, were sent by road. Why do you think they sent us by road? Because you need to, in project management, you need to ascertain what is on the ground. Is that also? You need to gather intelligence. You need to know what the situation is like. What circumstances are you going to operate? You are the leader. So we went by road. It took us almost the whole day to get to Abidjan. Now, along the path, what we call the critical path, is that also? There are critical tasks and actions that need to be performed. Here, in our case, the gendarmeries, every point you have to stop for them to confirm from ECOWAS headquarters in Abuja that you are the real Lieutenant Abe, Major this, before we will cross. So what it means is that there was already impact on timing. Is that not what it means? So we're supposed to get to Abidjan latest afternoon, but we go to Abidjan by 6 p.m. And by 6 p.m., you cannot sleep because you have already lost time. But in most cases, people would have said they are tired. Because we have something we call in the military selection and maintenance of aim. It's a principle of war. So you cannot afford to digress from your focus. So whether sleep comes or not, you must move. We were to go and secure the base. So by the time morning comes, our soldiers will come by air. And then we are to meet them and send them to you, your location, your men are for you. Where you will send them is your business. So that happened. Just as I was stepping out with my colleague, I never understood French at the time. So I had an interpreter who was my colleague at the training. The first curve we took in, mind you, test resources. ECOWAS did not deploy trucks or vehicles. They just said, go. Now, the money you had on you is what you use to take a local taxi. And I'm talking about during the war, it's not peacetime. So we took the taxi, the first curve, there was a checkpoint manned by some funny guys. And then by the time I will utter a word, there was pistol on my head. Now, will you shiver or what will you do? I whispered to my friend and said, my colleague and said, tell them if they are men born of a woman, they should fire that weapon. Let's see. Then my friend said, are you crazy? Then when my friend said, are you crazy? Then their commander, who was sitting far, heard it and walked up to us. He said, hey, I've not seen overconfident officer like you. Then I said, oh, okay, so you can speak English. Then we got engaged. Not knowing the guy was a Ghanaian. But because of the war, he had to quickly align in order to survive. In project management, there are times that people need to survive. Is that also? So he told us to go back. I said, no, we are going to proceed. We proceeded, and that's long and short. We succeeded, and we received our men. We proceeded on. And we operated there for 1 year. ECOWAS started, UN took over. Now, when UN took over, we had resources that were able to execute our assignment very well. Brought appreciable understanding where those of you who know about the war, we had to pull the government side and the rebel side. That's from the north. The north is what housed most of the rebels. So we had to bring them to the negotiating table in Abidjan. And then somehow things were okay. So we'll say project was successful. Is that also? Then these are my background. I served in other places. So I was one time at the Boku and Wa. I was the officer commanding Boku and Wa. And all these ones require setting objectives, getting the right or the mobilizing the right resources, optimizing the resources, and making sure that the project succeed. Boku was a critical project, very, very tough project, but somehow it came to pass that indeed my time there was good. And then I also was part of the team, or I was in charge of what we call in the civil side of things simulation. So, simulation unit. So, everything that is taught at the combat training school, I have to handle the simulation, make it practical for the trainees to see that this is how it is done. Then I also served as the instructor, as or lecturer at the school itself. Then became ADC to the Chief of Defense Staff, making sure that at any point in time, everything runs as it must be. And it requires a lot of skills. They are all projects and they all come to an end. You see that there are dates assigned to all of them. There are dates allocated. All the how you maneuver around all these things very important. Then I voluntarily bowed out in 2012 because of other ambitions of pursuing academic, progress or development. It interests you to know that I have one of my mates here during my MBA program, Edwin. Excited to see him. At that time, this was the craziest thing I was doing because it was my personal project. Life itself is a project, isn't it? It has an end. I was driving I started my MBA at Tech when I was at WA. Program it in such a way that every Friday evening I take off and go to Kumasi. By Sunday evening, I'm going back. While in Kumasi, I still have to be monitoring what was happening in WA. That is project management for you. It came out one day that we were in class. Nobody knew I was a military man. Then there was confusion and I had to leave the class. So in the bid to quickly get to the Boku, that was at Boku, I went to my car, changed into my uniform. Then I forgot that I did not alert the class captain or the lecturer. So when I entered the class, can you imagine how everybody felt? Who is this? That was when they got to know that I was one. I finished that one, was brought to Accra to teach. That's when I joined Edwin Echo in the class because they have heard. So when they met me, this is the guy. Because very interesting guy, but that's me. Anyway, so Congo, Liberia, they were there as well. We handle all those projects. So for those of you who wants to know more, we can talk about it as we move on. But with that background, it means that either when I was going to Congo, then I thought that let me understand the professional aspect of project management. That's when I went to GIMPA to pursue project management. So my background on the first contact with project management was at GIMPA, and that's where it all started. Now, let's quickly go on to the context. By context definition, we have one will say a project is successful when it delivers the result that it is meant to deliver, or the product or the service. That is one aspect. In other words, when it provides the benefits from which it is, meant to deliver. That's project success. But there are three levels or three aspects. So from what I have said, the product or the service, the benefits, and then value. So these are the three levels that one can describe project success. So if at the first level, as the result is delivered, then we say project is successful. Do you agree with me? If it provides the value, then it is successful. If it also results in efficient management of resources, to deliver what it is to deliver, then the project is successful. So resource optimization is key. Value addition is also key. And then delivery of the actual result is also key. But how, in some instances, the resources can be optimized all right, but it may not result in what? Value. That means that there's more to results or success as we may define it. So when we have that context clear in our minds, then we can proceed. Now, let's look at the issue of the learnings from the military perspective. As I indicated, just a minute. So, in effect, the essentials of project management has to do with the fact that there must be clear goals or objectives set. We all know that. Without clear objectives, nothing can be done. I just want us to also know that, okay, the captain also knows that this is how project management is. So that I can also feel good. Is that also? So, and then there's also, risk assessment. You need to conduct risk assessment, and risk assessment must be continuous. It is not a one-stop thing that you need to do. And you must also mobilize resources, as I said, both human and material resources, including even time. Time must be organized in a way that it will benefit the project or it will be used wisely. And then the issue of change management, stakeholder management, all these things are part of the essentials. So I don't need to elaborate on that. Now, when it comes to the military, the issue of project management has very interesting background in the sense that it is usually carried out in a very complex and very difficult terrain or environment. So the complexity around it is even worse than the civil side of things. When you are engaging stakeholders, there are different, it's a different ball game altogether. It is not a straightforward thing like the civil side of things where, I mean, diplomacy, just go and jaw, and then that's end of story. But imagine you are dealing with belligerence to a conflict where everybody has taken an entrenched position and you have to appreciate the dynamics around the whole conflict before you even want to step in. That's the complexity around military. And then the team you are working with also is usually not coming from the same background. You all may not be working from the same unit. You are coming from different units with different traditions, different understanding. How do you then be able to harness the capability across board, identify the potential, harness it, and channel it towards the direction of the project? That is the complexity that's surrounding. But for us, in knowing or the system knowing very well that the complex nature of projects within or operations within the military can be overwhelming, they ensure that you are equipped with a certain skill or a certain level of capability or competence to be able to deliver. And that's why they took time or they take time to train you for such long period of time with practical aspects so that it is not about you reading from books. Remember, I mentioned simulations. Your lessons are not just taught in class and that ends it. You must go and practice. You will demonstrate understanding of whatever you do. We have what we also, or what the military called war gaming. So your solution to a project will be pitched against the other person's solution, and then you war game it. I will do this. This guy will say, I'll counter it by this. You say, okay, when you counter it by this, I'll also do this. So by the time you come out of that process, you are able to appreciate your own shortcomings within the solution you are offering. So let's go on. When it comes to the the issue of goal setting. As I indicated, military projects are quite complex, very, very complex. It requires detailed planning, detailed coordination. And the military uses what we call mission command. The mission command, which I will talk about, that is what provides the foundation for better collaboration and better cooperation among the teams. And I'll talk about what we mean by the mission command. And the maneuverist approach is also what is attached or utilized in enabling the mission command to work. So we'll talk about that. Now, we're talking about the mission command and the maneuverist approach, these are the things that are taught in the class. And then practical aspect is run for them to understand it. But what is mission command? What is it that we're talking about when we say mission command? So, but before we go to the mission command, let me quickly mention that performance on projects in the military is not just about delivering on the project. It's not just about success. It's about trust as well. So I brought in this performance graph because one of the things the military believes is that when you are a high performer, but you cannot trust you, you are toxic. You become toxic to the group. So they are not interested in high performance alone. We must trust you. Because mind you, life is at stake here. If we cannot trust you, then what it means is that you are going to pursue your personal interest. So what it means is you are likely to leave your team behind because you want to come and be the only survivor. So back in that camp, the ideology is that it's not just about you being a high performer. Now, at recruitment, they do something. A lot of people don't understand how they select their people. They call it part of the selection or the enlistment goes with what they call leaderless test, outdoor leaderless test. They're going to group you in, let's say, group of five. Then they pose a task, practical task, and ask you to profile solution to it. It is not how blah, 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 blah you are, or it is not how imposing you are that they are looking for. They are looking for how receptible or how you accept other people's views. That's what matters. So some people will say, I offered the solution and it worked. They are not interested in that. Because in your discourse, you made it look like you are the all in all. So what it means is when you are handling a project, you dictate to everybody. And once you are dictating to everybody, it means no other person's view matters. And project can fail easily because you are an imposing leader. That is one of the things. So let's take this one. They don't believe in higher performance alone. In as much as they believe that you must perform at your optimum, you must be trusted. So trust is one of the key things that when they consider when it comes to project management. They cannot give you a project to handle if they cannot trust you. Do you understand it? Going to Baku, for example, if they don't trust that you'll be neutral, there's no way they will deploy you there. There was a time I was accused of belonging to one side. Then the two sides were now talking for me. This one say, no, he didn't do this. This one say, he didn't do this. Then my bosses realized that. They say, but the people say you belong to one side. How come they are all fighting for you? I say, it's because I'm always in the middle. And that's the level of trust. I stayed in Baku from 1st January to August 2008. 6 months. Let me add this one. Military officers go through a lot. When you see them everywhere, please salute them. We don't celebrate our military people, but we sacrifice a lot. 31st December, in Baku, they have a festival called Samampit Festival. It happens every 31st December. That faithful 31st, I had been in Wa from July I got to Tamale back home in December 20th. So I stayed 31st. I was in town with my wife trying to buy tilapia to go and have, enjoy the 31st. Just as my wife was pointing the tilapia, then my commander called. So, Victor, where are you? So I was in town. My friend, go and pick your bag and meet me at the airport. We are going to Boku. I had just come from Wa. So you will say in the civil side of things, you say, but this guy had just come. Other people were there. Why are you sending him there? But because our psyche is such a way that this is a job that you must do because it is going to contribute to the peace of the country. I quickly pack my things. You can imagine if you were my wife, madam, you would have said the same thing she said. Then we go back, I pick my bag. 31st night, got to the airport, we went. Remember, I said I was trained and posted as a parachute person. So we went. We could not execute what we wanted to execute. So we had to come back. Dawn, early dawn, first. So what it meant was that the whole of the festive period away. And I stayed there from that time till August. So you can imagine. So it's also about your psychological strength as well. So they cannot send you if there's no trust. You can be the best performer. So in your project management, one of the things you can keep at the back of your mind is that it is not just only about performance. There must be trust. If you focus only on performance, what you're going to get will be toxic people who will be naysayers in every situation because they are self-centered. They want to only look at themselves. So let's take note of the toxicity here. You are better off in this position where at least if you find people medium performance, low performance but high trust, you are better off operating there because you are likely to bring these people up because they may lack some capability. You can develop that. But for trust issues, is personal choice. Is that also? You cannot. So that is what this model is what the Navy SEALs in the US use in churning out their leaders. And Simon Sinek used it a lot in his presentations to indicate that in performance management, let's not focus only on high performers. People we trust matter most. They were able to perform higher. Now, so we're talking about the issue of setting objectives. So I spoke about setting clear objectives or goals. In the military, goals or objectives are described as mission or end state. Now, the end state is very critical because in the mission command, team members or subordinates are told what they should do and why they should do it, but the how is left for them. You know why? The how is left because they want to pick your brain, pick your brain, pick everybody's brain to indicate that you all understand the objective. Because if you know where we are going, then you can offer alternative routes together. But if you don't understand where we are going, you will just be following. Every road goes there. So the mission command is a concept that they use to train the people to say that in your leadership, tell the people why what is to be done. Why is it important that we do it? But give them the opportunity to go and decipher how. Remember, in project, we work with teams, diverse teams. Somebody is handling finance. Somebody is handling if you like, if it's infrastructure. Somebody is handling the architecture. Teams. Let them decipher what they are to do. Now you come together as a project team to discuss. So the finance person may say that with the kind of structure you are drawing, the budget available will not support us. budget. Is that not the case? Now, in the military, if we are to go somewhere, the teams are different. You have the artillery, you have the armored people, you have the infantry, you have the air force, you have the navy. All of them require different resources. But if the objective is going to go beyond, let's say, water, navy will come in and say, I cannot give you this ship. I can give you this kind of thing. So understanding of the objective is key. So the end state is that we want to kind of get to this point. How do we get there? How do we deliver that resource? Somebody will say, if I allow the infantry people to be on foot, heading to clear an enemy or whatever it is, we will not get there fast. Time will be spent. The period within which this project is to be executed will not get there. So Air Force will say, I will lift you with the aircraft from this point to this point. Now, with my aircraft, I can only use helicopter. I may not use fixed wing because where I would leave you off, there's no runway. Are you seeing how they go through it? So it's about pooling resources and appreciating who can do what at any point in time. And these discussions are done with no emotions because everybody knows where we are going. And it is not about me, it's about what we are targeting. So in projects, setting projects objectives or goals, it is not about personal issues. It's not about personal aggrandizement to prove that I'm the one who offered the best solution or provided the best resources. No, it's about achieving the results. So that's how the military looks at things. And the commanders are equipped with this kind of mindset. I spoke also about maneuverist approach. The maneuverist approach here is no more, is talking about the fact that in the old states, in ancient times, you see that they pitch camp against each other. So we call it attritionist warfare. The attritionist warfare is about inflicting pain or damage to the supposed enemy. But in today's world, the concept of maneuverist approach says that it is not about inflicting pain alone. Projects can be delivered by weakening you the will to fight. So, for example, if I know you have artillery weapon that I don't have, that if I deny you the use of that artillery, then you cannot attack me. I have succeeded. Have you understood it? So it doesn't matter the strength of the military. It's about identifying the weak points. That becomes an objective or a goal. So in their mind, now currently, it's no more about inflicting physical pain on you. It's about how can I maneuver around this guy. So let's say, for example, our material, our resources in Ghana. One would, you see the kind of things we are witnessing. That alone can be deemed as somebody's end state, somebody's aim. That let me inflict this on you so that the will to develop will be weakened. So that now I can dictate to you what to do. You agree with me? So we call it maneuverist approach to warfare. And so in the project manager's mind, this is the end state. It must be determined right from day one. And that we are not going into this operation to kill this man or to destroy this town. What we want to do is that they are so powerful that if we don't weaken them, we become vulnerable to them. So with this vulnerability in mind, they are not targeting the human being. No. So the focus now shift to where their strength lies. That's where they'll be focused on. So understanding the objective and focusing on it is very key to their operations. And it's about employing tools and concepts that will aid them in that direction. Now, you talk about there are principles. So these are the principles they work with. The principles are the fact that there must be mutual trust, because the mutual trust between the two of us will determine if the objective is still important to us. If we don't trust each other, when the going gets tough, he cannot trust that even as we depart, he will not go and disclose my strength to the other side. So the mutual trust is that even when he's captured, no matter what happens, he's not going to give me up. So I will also do everything I can to rescue him. See the mindset of the military project guy? So the team members trust that the leader will never give his people up. So even when the leader is captured or kidnapped, they will do everything to rescue him, because he knows, or the team members know, there's no way he will disclose the strength of his people, where they are. He will not do it. And he also trusts that, look, they can torture me, they can do whatever, but my people will come for me. That's the mindset of the military person. That's why you watch in films that even when they are in captivity, they are being tortured, they still remain as they are, because they believe in their heart of hearts that my people will come for me, come what may. So that's the mindset. I believe I'm offering something meaningful. Anyway, so they operate on shared understanding. We all understand the mission. That's it. Now, in their meetings, opportunity is offered, contrary to what most of us think, that is do before complaint. When the leaders are briefing their people, at the end, the teaching is that two ways of questioning. You allow the team members to question for you to explain, or you question the team members to give you feedback that they understand. That's their mindset. That's how they operate. Because the leader knows that if I don't confirm understanding from my people, I will be making a big mistake. I'll be on the move and then things will go wrong. Now, when we all have a shared understanding, when the going becomes tough, we call it unity of effort. It promotes unity of effort and initiative. So I would say we have hit this junction, but per our plan, we were to take left. But when we got there, the left is blocked. It's right. But is it possible that we can, remove the obstacle, or we detour? So thinking will happen. Now, when we take the right, will it lead us to our objective? If it will not, then let's spend some time, put in a little bit of effort to remove the obstacle. But before we remove the obstacle, let's do some risk assessment. That's the kind of thinking. So a lot goes into military operations. Now, when they say clear, when they say clear, we say in the civil side, we say smart objectives. Is that also? It must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be what? Attainable, blah, 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 and all that. But these people say, you hear them with this popular word that, my friend, is that clear? Don't you hear them saying that? Say, my friend, is that clear? That clear means a lot. And this is what it is, collaborative. So I know that my understanding is not only me doing something, I'm doing it with somebody. That's one. The other one is that I am limited in what I can do. That's why somebody must do something to support me. The other one is that emotional. I am passionate and I'm expected to be passionate, but it is not about me. I'm not being emotional because I am not doing it well and people are condemning me or whatever. No, it is because I'm connected to the whole project. And then the other, appreciable, smaller, achievable task. In project management, we have small. Then we identify the critical activities along the path and all that. So these are very things when they talk about, Now, the last thing is refinable. Is that clear? So the R means that there's bound to be change. So we must adapt to change. So they are not fixed in their mindset that this is what they say we should do. So we are going to do that. No, when you get to the ground, situation change, you must conduct fresh risk assessment and move on. So when they say clear, that's what they are talking about. Very, very interesting. Now, again, I spoke about trust. Now look on the screen and tell me. You see, fortunately, the number one is that there must be shared understanding. Number one, if we don't have common understanding, it means that we'll be working in silos. We are not working towards the same objective. So it is very important that as project managers, we recognize that every team member has a role to play. We must have a shared understanding. Where are we going? What are the difficulties? What are the constraints? We need to appreciate all that. And then authority. There will be clear intent and mission orders. So the orders here is the instructions. What needs to be done? The various tasks. We all have the authority to do what we got to do. So once I know he has the authority, I trust that he's doing what he's being asked to do to contribute to the project. I'm not doubting his capability at all. And then the resources available. Discipline, discipline what? Initiative. Discipline initiative. I'm not going to do it because I think that I have authority to do it, so I'm doing anything. Oh, I took this initiative because it is me who has been tasked to do it. So anything goes. No, must be discipline. It must be within a certain, so discipline with time, discipline with resources and everything. Discipline in behavior and all that. On that note, let me say that I got here 4:30 and then we all came late. So please, punctuality is the soul of business. So let's try. In as much as we have something that maybe later I'll talk about because time we are talking about success, but you're all part of it. In the military, when they give you time, there are two ways of calculating time for military guy. They have forward calculation and backward calculation. So the forward is that they say you have to be there as soon as possible. So you have to determine when do you take off from here to get there. When they say get there by, no, that is the you have to calculate forward that how long will it take me to get there. So if it will take me 5 hours to get there, then I would say my soon as possible be 5:30 forward. But backwards, they say get there by 5 o'clock. I will have to calculate it backwards and say that it will take me maybe when I get to the location, I'll freshen up. So 30 minutes minus. You do it backwards. It will determine when you will set off from your location. In there, we make provision for contingency. So the military guys are equipped with so much that when he's bathing, when he's taking his bath, he's calculating and all that. I am being frank with you. When I left the system, and still maybe Sheldon will attest to it, you get to a meeting, you see there, then nobody is there. Then you are like, are you a stranger in Jerusalem or what? Please, time is very important. Let's take note. Project timing is very important. Is that also? It can lead to failure. So prudent risk is also on the list of the trust. Prudent risk. We take risk at times. So you see that there is this guy in this position holding a machine gun. A machine gun is automatic. It releases a number of rounds within seconds. But without you getting rid of that guy, you cannot move. So that was not factored in the plan. But you got there, you realize that no, somebody got to get rid of this guy. Do you open your small pistol or what? No. Prudent risk will mean either you use same or more maneuver and get hold of this guy and deal with him. I'm not a killer. Anyway, trust you can see in the picture, you see a rope tied from one end to the other. The soldier must trust that that rope will not let him fall. The rope is strong enough to get him across. So the trust is built into the psyche of the soldier through the training. So you get on that rope. If I put any of us on a rope across now, the rope will be doing like this. So the first thing in your subconscious mind is that you want me to fall and get hurt. But the soldier trusts that that rope is secured enough. So he will jump on it and do that. And sometimes it may interest you to note you run on that rope sometimes 200 meters, 200 meters across. Do it. Those of you who have gone to the jungle warfare school at Chelsea, or even if you don't, if you've not gone there, just spend some time and go and see. And there are obstacles down there. So imagine the soldier is on top and knows very well that when I fall, these are the things I will fall on. But he's still trusting that he will go. That is the mindset of a project leader. So again, detailed planning. Detailed planning and what? Risk assessment. Before every operation, there must be enough comprehensive risk assessment and planning. So you see them, you see these guys, they've gone to, they use the map, use the lay of the land, they use all satellite, every available information, and now come together as a team and now say, this is the location. But what are the things around this location? So they take a geologist who is also a military man. So he tells you that this type of rock or mountain you are seeing here is made of so and so and so. When you fire, the it will ricochet and hit you back. So you don't operate around that area. You don't fire this weapon. You don't do. So you see, a lot of calculation goes into risk assessment goes into it. So you say, okay, before the troops will get to that location, let artillery people fire from far behind, about 1,500 kilometers away, and hit that rock, break it, because that is what the enemy is hiding behind. When they lower that, then we, the form people, we can now use the. So the guy doesn't get up one day and say he's going to fight somebody. Everybody brings on board. So within the team, there is a geologist, there's a philosopher, there is a Arabic person, there's a historian, there is. So that's why the military accepts every goddamn person. And we don't understand. An archaeologist, like I read archaeology and philosophy, and I went in there. You'll be able to say there are historical sites. We cannot destroy this because posterity will not forgive us. That's why you see that in some films or in whatever, they don't destroy historical sites because they know their significance. That's the digital planning. And they identify all this. But if you watch our space, we get a lot of things destroyed just because we want to achieve a certain. Tomorrow, those things are gone. Today, the skyscrapers that we are seeing in our country, one will say our focus is on managing space, but we are forgetting some other aspects. Our environment is not the same as the European environment. Now, with time, we're going to struggle with a lot of things. The military guys, they think through all this to know that if we destroy this one, our own operation in future will be affected. So they deliberately keep some things in place so that tomorrow they can use them for another thing. So that's about detailed and robust. Now, to survive in combat, if you don't plan and conduct continuous risk assessment, there's no way you survive. I will show you one picture later where I was with a Chinese guy in Congo, just the two of us, Imagine Chinese guy doesn't understand English well. I don't understand, I didn't understand French so well at the time. No interpreter with us. but yet UN mandate requires us to go into villages and preach peace without weapon. So the military builds your capacity in what? Negotiations and preaching peace and all that, understanding cultural perspectives and all that. Now I set off, first of all, I must trust the Chinese who's not even speaking English with me, that he's on the same frequency like me. We are on the same page before we can move. He must also trust that this African guy will not go and dump him in some bush because I'm the one controlling the vehicle. And this guy will sit by me and I'm driving through the jungles of Congo. When I show you when the picture comes, then you understand what I'm talking about. We go all the way and we hit as far as 100 kilometers away from our base. And we are to get back. But the Chinese guy must trust that the global military concept is the same mindset we all have. So he believes in me. He trusts that I will not betray him, and he will also not betray me. We are working together. The UN concept brings together, countries or diversity. So the Chinese guy doesn't know me, but we all assemble, and then he's speaking his 2x4 English, and I'm also trying to reduce my level of English for him to understand. In our Galamsey stuff, I believe that the Chinese are doing the same thing. They trust that our locals will come to their level, and they have succeeded at that. That is the kind of stuff that happens. Now you see that picture. This one. I'm the one, the canoe. This is a local guy that we met, and we have to cross the River Congo. And that's the kind of canoe I'm talking about, is that one carved from wood, and it can capsize anytime. But the trust is that even if it collapses or it capsizes, we will swim and go. You get the thing. So the risk assessment we have done is that no matter what happens, we will survive. So continuous assessment, staying ahead of the game, is that, look, before we can understand the people we are going to execute this project for, let's get to appreciate what their mindset is. What are the likely things they are going to come up with? So you go as if you are not engaging them, but you are gathering information. So the guy who is handling the canoe with us in the same canoe, we are engaging him. He's trying to give us some briefing. Who is not who are the troublemakers and all. So we are always staying ahead of them. So by the time we get there, so what are the things they like? They say, oh no, if you get to this person, if you talk to this guy before you go here, there's trouble for you. So you have to see this one before you go here. So we are always ahead of the game. So when this guy is pushing to come to us first, give him an excuse so that we can see this man to satisfy him, then we can move to the other person. Like in our cultural setting, those things happen. So knowing the situation on the ground is very key to adjusting. So continue staying. These are the learnings. The military guy knows that he must be ahead. So the principle that defines that is anticipation of future task. So while you are executing one task, the principle that you bear in mind is that there is a possible task that can either alter the course or maintain the course. So you have to be anticipating what's likely to happen. You must gather information ahead through intelligence. And then all of them are trained to think like that. He doesn't get to the project or the operation and he said, this is the way we are doing it. No, continuously he's engaging continuously to stay ahead of the game. The other aspect is that resource mobilization and optimization. I think I explained it along the line where I said that the Navy guy, the Air Force guy, the infantryman, the artillery, the armor, they all think through and say, these are the resources we can use to support it. But while they provide that support by way of resource, whoever is the leader, make sure that the resources are optimized disciplined usage. And the resource here includes, I mentioned, time as well. So if I gave Madam one artillery support, use for 3 hours. If she doesn't use it within that period, that resource will be moved from there to another place. So if she does not execute her assignment, what it means is that there will be a shortfall and it will expose the entire project to or failure. So disciplined use of resources, that's what they focus on. And for mobilization for personnel, it's not just about gathering people because you have been trained 5 years ago when there's an operation, we just no. When you are gathered, you have to go through another whole of team training for you to appreciate the task at hand, the role of Mr. A, the role of Madam B, so that he is coming from a unit that you don't know what they do there. So you must understand him and he must understand you. The Air Force, when they are flying at a certain level, what does it mean? So they all get to appreciate this. So refresher training before they come on the project, but not because they have done it before. Oh, these guys have gone to Liberia before. So when we are going to Cote d'Ivoire, let's gather them and go. No, the terrain is different. The teams will be different. So you see the Bondasi training, those of you who had on the Aflao stretch there, every time they must retrain and train. That's how they execute their project. So Ghanaians go on operation and come back safely and successfully. Everybody is happy. It is not magic. It is because in their resource mobilization, time, human, and material is utilized and optimized very well. The tradition in the military is that after all the resources are mobilized in terms of human and equipment, the sergeant major. You see, you heard of sergeant majors. The power comes in when they say, gentlemen, from the right, number. Then people start to give 1, 2, 3, 4, and the leader is there. The officer is waiting. By the time the last person say 20, then it is confirmed that all the 20 people are present. He's not coming to say, let me see, 1, 2, 3. No. Open your mouth and count yourself among the people so that everybody knows that you are present. Then you say, there's no magician here. Are you a magician? You know, military talks. They do all these things because the sergeant major knows that it is his role or her role to account for all those things. Now, they say, who is the mortar man? Who is carrying the mortar gun? The people, they all raise their hands. So they know that we have 5 of that present. That's how they confirm availability of resources. Not the usual thing they ask somebody, do we have this? So I'm sure it's in the store. No. Bring it, let's see that is available. Because we will not get to the fruit before you come and say, I thought. In the civil side of things, say, I thought. The military say you are thoughting. No, you can't. No. At that moment, you are saying you thought. No. You confirm. Even on the move, they will still check and be sure. So that's the kind of mindset. So they said there's this expression that every officer makes. He said, did you ensure? For example, we get to the operational place. You have to bring water. Let's say water, 100 maybe bottles or sachet. Then the thing fell short. Then he said, oh, sir, I thought. I said, did you ensure? And that alone is a chargeable offense. It's a chargeable offense because it is a dereliction of duty. You didn't do due diligence. But in our world, we say, oh, what is the big deal? Say, Nipadi, you can forget things. Is that not what we say? Disciplined approach to things is what makes them successful in everything. That's it. That's what it takes. So the sergeant major role is very important. Now, In all this, you would have noticed that as per project management requirement, communication is key in all the operations. Effective communication, not just communication. And how do they do that? It's not just about, I told him this, did he understand? You told him all right, but did he understand? There's a difference between hearing and listening. In this country and in most of our companies, we hear, we don't listen. I'll show you why we don't listen. Before somebody speaks, we have drawn conclusion for the person. That's why you see a lot of people interjecting. Oh, you mean? Meanwhile, the person has not landed. And again, another part is that in our civil world, we give long preamble before we now go on to the main point. So by the time you are giving the preamble, the person is in, well, you know, not related to the issue at all. So you send the person's man here, come here. By the time you say the whole thing, you say, okay, I've heard. But in reality, the person didn't understand what you said. So the military is conscious of that. So what do? For them to have effective communication, they ensure that people carry batteries along with radio on their head. Do you believe that? It's just one of those funny pictures. Now, they ensure that this happens. They use 5 C's. Clarity must be achieved. I mentioned earlier that the question to ensure that you understand, and they ask you to ask questions to confirm understanding. Then they also make sure that the correct information is what is given, precise, and they are very concise, very straightforward. I'll give you my favorite example. When officers are sitting in the mess and the mess sergeant or the waiter, as you call it, they need water to wash their hands, to eat something. We say, waiter, water, hand washing, type, officers, finish. Is it not interesting? Because it's already pre-arranged. The guy knows that water, yes, is clear. They need water. But which type of water? For washing hand. For who? Officers. Finish. But in the civil side, somebody will say, we are about to eat our food. Can you please give us water so that we can wash our hands so that James will not, all this one, is it necessary? Straight. Another aspect is pre-arranged phonetics. So the of Alpha, Bravo, and all that. So everybody knows that when they say Papa, Yankee, Bravo, he knows what it means. Straightforward. There's no need to construct long sentences. Concise, correct message is delivered. So they use the 5 C's. Because we all know that without effective communication, misunderstanding will prevail. You will not be on the same scale. You will not. We assume more often that people understand what we have said, but in reality, they don't. So confirmation is important. Even on the civil side of things, in your own personal life, when you say something, it's good to confirm understanding by saying, possibly, can you repeat what I said? If the person is not able to repeat it, you rephrase to see if the person understood. Now, the military does it like this. When they are giving what they call orders or the briefing, the team, at the end of the day, the commander summarizes everything and say, in effect, you will do this. You will do this. The two of you, do you see your middle point is this? Do you understand? Then he knows that the two of you appreciate where your efforts will meet. Then they are good to go. But without that confirmation, you may be thinking you understood what to do. It will not. So they confirm a lot. So what I pick from there as an insight is that there are some do's and don'ts that we don't bring on board if we are to ensure projects succeed very well. We must make sure that clearly and concisely we communicate what it is as the objective. or what is to be known at any point in time. Information on a project is not anything confidential if it does not contribute to delivering value. So if you keep it confidential and it's impacting negatively, what is the use of that confidentiality? Are we getting the point? So in as much as the military operates on need to know basis, they still know which information must be released at any point in. Because at this critical point, if the members don't have this information, the project will fail. So they issue it out. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about. And you must also, we as individuals, as leaders, project leaders, must also develop the act of listening. The act of listening requires you to engage all your senses. Eye contact, the ears, your body language, because sometimes we are project meetings and you see people fidgeting with their phones, people having meetings within meetings. Meanwhile, somebody is giving serious briefing. Somebody say, excuse me. By the time he comes, he doesn't expect the part that was spoken of to be repeated. But the assumption is that he understands. How will he understand it? So in the military circles, when briefing is going on, everything sees this. It doesn't matter who you are. The commander puts his phone down because he tags somebody that if anything, I am going here, contact this person. Finish. Because he knows that if he doesn't do that, the distraction will not enable him communicate effectively. So he does that. So at military briefings, you dare not do something else apart from what you are there to do. But in our meetings, as I have observed it on the civil side of things, it's full of indiscipline. People walk in, come out, this, and then the leaders are not able to even point out to people that no. So what do? At briefings, set the rules clear. At this meeting, these are the ground rules. Clear. If you are not part of it, get out. But you will say, we are not in the military. But it helps. It's very important. So let's also not be dismissive. When you are communicating and somebody makes a remark, don't dismiss it. Because if you take your time to think through, it may offer an alternative solution and possibly a better one. But more often, we shut people up before they even conclude. Let's not be dismissive. A private soldier in the military is seen as the lowest person. He doesn't know anything, blah, blah, blah. But that person can save a whole battalion. A guy who is known to be a weed smoker, his colleagues know him, that he does the thing. But I tell you, one of the things I personally got from my experience is that when you arrive at any location, that very day you arrive, the guy can come and tell you where all the joints are. I'm telling you. And you think he doesn't have value? He has value. So let's not dismiss people's views. It's very important. The lowest person in the chain is as important as the highest person. When you go to the US in their military engagements, they don't even ask the officers to do the briefing. They let the lower level people do the briefing. And that's where they use to train them. They build their confidence. So, but here in our part of the world, director is the one who must do all the briefing. Because it is seen that when the PA does the briefing, he's taking the shine out of the director. Meanwhile, you will not be there forever. Commander leading his people to the field may not necessarily end up at the Jerusalem gate. He may be fired along the line. Somebody must carry on. So they make sure everybody is empowered enough. But of course, with discipline, because that's what people say, civilians will say, this man, what are you talking about? We know you put to be do before complain. But interestingly, it is not so. It is just lawful obedience to instructions. The soldier has the right to say, this is not right, I will not do it. Because he knows it doesn't match up with the objective. Then the officer will respect it. But on this side of the world, it's a different ball game altogether. Okay, now let's also talk about, in all this, we are touching on leadership. Is that not so? Leadership in our part of the world mostly understood position. The military does understand leadership as position. In as much as your position or rank matters, your ability to harness people's potentials and channel them towards the attainment of a shared goal is what they consider as leadership. Because leadership is a process of continuous provision of direction and guidance to the team. It is not your title. It is not your position. When you ask in business classes, what is leadership? People will say ability to do blah, 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 but it is about providing continuous direction. So the leader must continuously monitor the space and provide the direction required by the team, and also take feedback from the team to guide his direction, because your direction or your leadership is determined by the team's behavior and their capability. If they don't have capacity, your leadership becomes bogus. In our part of the world, on projects, when projects fail, we sack the team members and leave the leader. No, that's why in Asia, in Japan, for example, when things are not working, they get rid of the leaders and bring new leaders. But redundancy in our part of the world means that subordinates must go. If you are an MD and you are failed and not performing, you should go. But unfortunately, no. In the military, if you don't succeed, the rule is clear. They say 10% casualty is allowed. So if I take 10 people and one die, it's normal. But if it goes beyond that, I have failed. They'll sack you. They'll give you court martial. Finish. So you have it at the back of your mind that I have a duty of care towards my team members. This is not about me. But in our part of the world, project management is about self-aggrandizement, which for me is something that we should learn from the military. That your leadership, the effectiveness of your leadership is determined by how you care for the people within your team, how you develop them, how you build their capacity, how they become competent. When you are not there, they can execute on your behalf. You may fall sick. Why is it that in some projects, when the project manager is not there, everything is waiting for the project manager to come before they move on? It will stall the process and things will not move on. Now, so this is what I say. The leadership provides the bridge and the light on the path for the team members to see their way clear. They will have challenges. The leader's role is to provide guidance. Leadership is not a child's play. Somebody said, if you think leadership is easy, it's about pleasing people, go and sell ice cream. Because ice cream sellers, they want to please everybody because they tell you how sweet it is and all that. But leadership, you must be ready to step on some toes and to satisfy the greater good. But if you are not ready to do that, then you have a problem. So project management, for us to accelerate the success, we must have effective leadership skills. We must be able to empower people, inspire people to do more. Adam Quincy said, if your actions inspire others to do more, to dream more, to achieve more, then you are a leader. So on daily basis, let's ask ourselves, project managers, how are my actions impacting on my team members? If it is not inspiring them to do more, then you got a problem. You have to look within. If you are present in a meeting and people are misbehaving, it means you have failed. You don't have, we call it back in the day, you don't have grip over the people. It means you have lost it. You don't have leadership. It means that you are indisciplined yourself. you have set that example for them. There is, in the military, they look at balance between leadership and management. You see, management follows procedures. This is the procedure. But leadership ensures that you guide the people through the process. So they maintain a balance. This is the procedure, all right. But if we are following, we get here, we are stuck. What do? Let's do this, let's do that. That's what they maintain all the time. So it's not only about, leadership alone. Somebody said the difference between leadership and management is that leadership focuses on people and management focuses on material resources and all that, or processes and procedures. So there must be a balance. Your actions is what matters a lot. Now, teamwork. Teamwork. Team is a group of people. For them to become a team, as we describe them, we all know the stages of formation of teams. If they don't get to that space where there's energy, there's trust, they cannot work together. So leaders' job in the military is that everybody must be on the same page. They have capacity to deliver. Everybody has something to offer. So the military personnel knows that everybody on the project has something of value to offer. And the contribution is important. It's critical. It's a critical path to the success. So they recognize that and harness everybody's potential towards the success. Then it's also about the fact that as leaders, let's focus on this: setting example, encourage innovation, reward and discipline. High performance, all right, but encourage confidence, recognize individual strengths and weaknesses, and strive for team goals. If you have this understanding as what leaders are made of, in your daily actions, you want to be sure that you are an example to people. If it is not right, it is not right. It is not because you are the one in that position, so it is right. But tomorrow is not right for this person. No, project will fail. That's the reality. So the leader says that we are all sleeping in the bush today. He will sleep in the bush. He won't go and sleep in the hotel, wake up tomorrow and come to the soldiers. No. We all sleep in the bush, the same tent, the rain will beat all of us. We all wake up. Then we'll say, how are you feeling? You say, very fine, sir. Then you ask you, we say, well, I'm very fine, gentlemen. As you can see, I'm very fine. I believe everybody is fine. Are you fine? They know that you also slept in that same condition. But if you slept somewhere and you come and ask them, are you fine? They'll look at your face and say, you go enjoy yourself. You come and say what? So that's what they do. That's the difference between. So when they go to even, so like a project as thick in a Congo forest where rainfall is all year round, there's no way rain will not beat you. You lie. Rain will beat you. Your car will get stuck in the mud and you have to get down and push the car with them. You will not sit in front and say, soldiers should push the car. No, you are setting an example that even when I'm not there, this is what you have to do. So even though they are driving you, when the car gets stuck, you are the first person to get and say, gentlemen, get down, let's push the car. Then the driver is in the car and you are pushing it. Then they know that you are not better than anybody. Servant leadership is what it is. Now, the mindset they have is that they must be curious about everything. They don't see anything and leave it for chance or to chance. Intellectual curiosity guides their activities. That, wait a minute, something is not right. I'll give you an example. When I was in Boku one day, I divided my soldiers. One take one corner, another one corner, and I was with one group. But when we were going, continuous monitoring tells me that the sound of the weapon that was firing was coming from our own people. My soldiers were poised to, once the people appear, they will level everybody. Then I said they should hold on. Lo and The first person that showed face was our own person. So I had to be curious to be able to determine the sound of the weapon. So you see, the military officer goes through a whole lot of things. He's not just firing for firing sake. He's listening at the same time to who is firing what, and there's a pattern. So he has trained his people. He knows how they fire, how they fight. So if it becomes abnormal, he knows that no, it's likely to be the opposite. But if it sounds the same, he wants to give benefit of the doubt to reassess before. Curiosity. That's the mindset that the military guys have. Then they also the fact that confidence and maturity to challenge things. Must do that. For want of a time, we can go on and on and on, but let me fast track. Emotional intelligence is also key to your effective leadership. Understand your own emotions and that of others. You are not the only person who is emotional. When your wife discipline you for house, somebody to your wife discipline you for house. So when you come, don't bring your wahala from house to come and deal with somebody. No, the soldier will not say because the officer has fought with the wife, he has a problem. So let's allow him to cool off. Cool off what? No. So a leader must have emotional intelligence to the extent that it's not every provocation that you react to. We went to a place in Congo again with a Nigerian officer. The Ghanaian culture tells me that when you go into a community, regardless of your status, when they give you water, you have to drink it. Is that not so? Now, whether you are a chief from that's the water the people are drinking. You have to drink before you can even talk to them. So we're there. The village chief, there was a calabash on the floor. When the chief sat, then they said you should serve us water. Then the small boy came and picked the calabash from the ground and went to a nearby small water was on the floor. Then he fetched it and brought it to us. Then the Alagoma was fuming. I took it, Boko. Then I drank it. Then they sent the thing to the Alagoma. He said, no, what are you talking about? Then we were almost killed because the chief got furious that we're undermining their, if you like, the sanity around the place. Then what were we here for? Then I had to quickly think on my feet and told the interpreter to tell him my colleague has a health condition. So he doesn't take water at certain times. So that's why he was trying to before. So you see, you have to think on your feet as you are going. So when I said that, then the chief now say, okay, then he understand. But he will drink this water before he goes. Then I said he will drink it. Now, by the time we engage him, he forgot that the water issue because we have managed his ego, his cultural expectations, and everything. Then when we left, and I told the officer that emotional intelligence is very important. It doesn't matter. You are here to preach peace, and you're already undermining. How will you attain that peace? So leaders must know that for your teams to work for you, your emotional intelligence must be controlled. If you understand people, it comes from you understand yourself. Because you manage yourself well, then you can manage other people. There are somebody told me the last time, he said, sometimes it's better you keep silent. It is not because it is golden, but it is because it is required at that moment. Then he used the example that you went to make a presentation. When you left you got your presentation, they told you this is a very useless proposal you have brought. That's what you got to the feedback. They blasted you. So already your morale is low. Now you managed to reorganize yourself. You got home. As you got home late, then your wife say, as usual. You see, I wonder what at all keeps you in office. Meanwhile, already what you are managing in your head. Any attempt at that moment to explain what happened will be worse. So you are better off keeping what? Quiet. So that another time you will explain. So emotional intelligence is very key for leaders. And that's what the military use. And as I said, trust. The trust can best be defined by the equation offered by Mesa and Co, as you can see on the screen. He said, your trust level is determined by your credibility plus your reliability and your intimacy divided by your self-orientation. How do they mean by that? Your credibility has to do a lot with your competence. Everybody knows you have so and so. You can do this. You can. Yeah, fine. We all know. Oh, Charlie, you have the capacity to do what? You are a leader. You are trained. You are an officer. This and so on. No problem. Now, reliability has a lot to do with integrity. Do you do what you preach, or you preach what you don't do? It's very important. Assuming you have very high level of intimacy, integrity, and you are not so close to your people, intimacy, your relationship with your team, you are self-centered. Do you think they can trust you? Project managers get projects delivered because teams trust them. And that trust is because they are not self-centered. So the self-orientation is about you knowing that life is not all about you. It's about the objective. It's about the scope. So you can score high on the competency grading, the reliability grading, the intimacy grading. But if your self-centeredness weighs all of them, it will drop you to the ground. So let's keep it in mind that your credibility alone will not earn you trust. Your reliability by way of integrity will not earn you trust. Your closeness to people may not. But when opportunities come and you only take it and leave the team, trust will not be yours. When the military goes into operation, when food is brought, the soldiers take their food before the officers. The soldiers prepare the food for the officers. They prepare food from the same pot and serve it to everybody. So they know that we are all eating the same thing. The only difference may be how it is served to the officers, but not different food. But when we are on projects, we say, project team, the officers, this is your hotel, this is your food. You have this cap. You cannot exceed this one. How do you think the team members will feel? We can change the face of project management if we inculcate some of these things. Then the issue of change management. Change management. It comes across every now and then, right? Adaptability to changing times and situations is very key. The military encounters change every now and then, whether they like it or not. The plan will not go according to expectation, but they know that along the path, things will change. So they put in place for contingencies. So contingency plan, a briefing is done on contingency before they even hit the road. That in case we go and they block this road, this is the next option. Even on the move, they call something anticipatory orders. So he will continuously be reminding his people that in case we encounter this, you, the front people, do this. You, the rear people, do this on the radio. He continuously educate them. So change management is very important. And that is what it is. Like Mandela brought change to South Africa by not revenging. And some call him coward, and others say he was emotionally intelligent because he knows that if he does that or if he has done that, it will have turned the country upside down. Remember, I said earlier in the maneuverist approach, dealing with the enemy's will to fight is more important than inflicting pain on him. That's the kind of philosophy has. Now, the other thing is that the military operations require quick adaptations. There's no time. Because if you waste a minute, they ask you to move from here, let's say at 5 p.m., so that artillery people will start bombarding. When it's 5 after 5, the artillery guy knows that he will start firing. If you don't give him orders that time has changed, we are now going to start moving by 6 o'clock, he knows that that is what it is. So it must be quick. Change must be communicated quickly. There's no time to waste. Because the guy going to fire, he's not watching you. He has been given instruction on the map, fire this place. People will live there. So when they live there, by 5 minutes time, they would have gotten out of the killing zone. So start firing. If you don't move, and if the commander knows that something happened, so they cannot move now. If that is not communicated, they are all gone. They're all gone. So flexibility is very much required. Now, I brought this thing for us to ponder on. I hope we can all see it. For projects to succeed in very complex situations, the military's mindset is that certain things must be clear. So here, when you see the vision, the skills, incentives, resources, and action plan gives you success. Absence of any of this will mean that it's a false start. If there's no direction, if there's no objective, you can have the skills, you can have the resources, but do you think you succeed? As changes occur, you are confused about what to effect because you don't even know where you are going. So how will you get there? So this is a concept that they focus their minds on, that you cannot afford to leave any of these things out. All of them must be present to contribute to your success. So any change you want to effect, you must make sure that how is it going to impact on the vision? How will it impact on the skill? How will it impact on? By that, you would have bring some alignment along the line to say that this change will align to this, will align to that. Okay, we don't have this skill, so we need to bring this skill on board. That's the kind of thinking they have. So they make requests. So for example, you hear in military operations say reinforcement. Reinforcement because they have identified that change has come, but we don't have the capability to deliver. So give us somebody. That's the kind of thinking that goes in. So this is what, this. Now, the other thing I want us to, sorry. Okay. At the end of the day, every project requires debrief, isn't it? So we have succeeded. The operation has ended. The military doesn't joke with debrief because they, in every project, there will be downfalls, there will be successes. Now, what can we learn from even our success story? Who did what best that contributed to this? They do project debrief. And that debrief is very important. We mostly disregard the debrief because that debrief will give you learnings into other projects that you deliver in future. And I think that I don't need to belabor that point. But in this regard, there are basic things that they do. In doing the debrief, they ensure that they don't make excuses. Because of that, we didn't do this. They are not interested in that. They are focusing on what happened. If you did not do it, yes, I did not do it because it happened. I have taken notes. So they are not defensive of their actions. Projects are succeeded, yes, but we want to know what happened. Now we didn't do this one right. Yes, I didn't do it. It's not about egos. It's not about emotions. It's about offering learning opportunities for all of us to move forward. So you realize that the next operation, they will factor in some of these things. Okay. Then too much of debriefing period also impact on understanding. Because if you engage people, yeah, this one said this one said that, human beings consume or absorb within a certain period of time. When you go beyond that, they will not. So if it will mean you divide the debrief into different slots, better. Notes, questions to ask. So during the operation or the project delivery, certain things did not come to you clear why certain actions did not take place as planned, but others were taken. You want to have those notes to ask for clarity So you understand why the project leader did this, even though you offered this suggestion that they did this. If that was not given to you at the end or before the thing was done, you ask questions. And then the maintaining professionalism is the key that the military operates with. They are not interested in, your status, your emotions, or whatever. We are professionals. We are to do this. Our role is to defend the territorial integrity of Ghana, and that is it. It doesn't matter whether General Sheldon is there or General Champon or whoever. Our job is to do this professional. That is all about it. So on again, if you watch closely, listen actively, admit ignorance when it is the case. No need for pretense. Debrief is not a stage to show off. It is not for the project leader to come and say, so you see, if I were not to be your project leader, this thing wouldn't have succeeded. It's not necessary. Because you couldn't have done it if other people were not involved. But you see, that's the time people want to show off. The team will celebrate you automatically. You don't need to let them know that you are the one who did it. The soldiers will carry you. Especially, personally, I took pride in the fact that till date, the soldiers will call you and say, we never sustained any injury when we were operating with you. It is because when you commit, I will deal with you. When you do the right thing too, I will praise you. And we'll keep going. Me, I will deal with you before the enemy will deal with you. So they understand it. There was two soldiers. I took them somewhere. We're going back to barracks, and I told them that we are all going back to barracks. When we get to barracks, my work is done. You have the freedom to go to town and do whatever you want to do. They wanted to play smart. When we enter the bus, then they say, oh, sir, we are ready, let's go. Then I say, Sergeant Major, from the rear, number. So from the back of the bus, number, so that it will come to me. Then I know the number of people. So mine was to stand and be looking at everybody's lips. So they counted. Then two people were not. By the time they got to the middle, the Sergeant Major says, sir, two people are not around. And I said, okay, tell them that by the time we get to the barracks, they are there. If they are not there, how they managed to get to the barracks, I don't know. Then when they got there, then I said, okay, you are in the barracks, all right, but you were endangering your life because you went by other means that I did not approve. So you will take your punishment. When they took their punishment, they did everything finished. Come, let's sit down. Let's the two of us were battling with some whiskey at the time. They say, come and join. Let's blow the whiskey. After the whiskey, case closed. And those are the soldiers who say, I will follow you everywhere. They know that they committed, they received the punishment fairly. Not because I took personal interest. No, professional. That's what it is. On that note, I will say that we are in a VUCA world. The VUCA world has come to stay. Turbulence will continue to prevail. Uncertainty will prevail. Complexity will be there. Non-linear nature of the occurrences will prevail. Then understanding will remain ambiguous. Project managers' open-mindedness is what is key. Now, when you adapt some of these learnings from military, as in using understanding, shared understanding, trust, effective communication, effective change management, and all there is with regards to stakeholder engagement, timeliness, discipline. Why can't you succeed on this note? Thank you very much. I will leave you with this one that says it's our honor code. They call it the honor code. The first day you enter the military academy, this is what is injected into your brain. You say, I change this part to company. Here is country. So we say the safety, honor, and welfare of your company come first, always and every time. the honor, welfare, and comfort of the people you lead come next. Your own ease, comfort, safety come last, always and everything. So, as project leaders, let's bear in mind that your success is not about you. Other people contribute to your success. So, your interest should be the last on the scale of things. In that case, the project scope is your focus. And the people who are helping to execute and arrive at that end state is your next priority. Your own priority is the last. And the truth is that when you focus on the first two, the last happens automatically. If you like, go and give 10 bags of rice to your team to share. They will give you a chunk of it because they will be confused as to which one can we give to this man to satisfy him. But if you go and give them, you take two and give them the 8, they will still say you have taken the chunk without giving them opportunity to benefit. So on that note, thank you very much. I'm humble.
All right. Thank you very, very much for that wonderful presentation. I believe everyone will agree that we have learned a lot, but I would hold on my thoughts and we'll ask for questions from our in-person audience, if there are any. So if you've got any questions related to any parts of what Dr. Captain Abe has said, please raise your hand so that we can ask, so that you can ask your question. In the meantime, the online audience agrees or says that it's been a very thought-provoking presentation and that it's been very down to earth, and kudos to you. So we'll take the first question that we have. Please, if you've got any more questions, kindly raise your hand.
Thank you very much. My name is Asei. Captain, I suppose that after your military duties, you also worked as a civilian, or yes. So, looking at us as civilians, we are working on a project. We are so emotional, and you made mention that in the military there is nothing like emotions. So, how do you balance the two? Working in the military and then working in the civilian world as well, with respect to the human emotions in the two sectors. Thank you.
Shall I take it one after the other? Should I? Okay. So as I indicated, emotional intelligence is what they build into us. So in all situations, you try to suppress your personal emotions, and you should have known what triggers your emotions. So when you know, you don't allow people to get you emotional, because human beings will get you there. So when they are getting you there, you know your triggers. So you begin to press the button that take it easy, take it easy. At the end of the day, you'll be able to also assess that this person probably is coming from an uninformed position. So that is what is giving him that possibly emotions to attack your emotions or whatever. So in that case, you see, a leader's demonstration of maturity stems from his ability to control his emotions. Because in the moment, in the unguarded moment, you will make certain pronouncements that you will regret tomorrow. So they put this thing in our minds that at any point in time, understand yourself. For example, when you wake up in the morning, what is your mood? Your mood before you leave home should guide you all the time, that I am not in my right frame of mind. I am moody. So if I am moody, what does it mean to the other person? It means they may think I am angry. Some will say I am sad. Some will say I'm being disrespectful. So you have to work quickly on that mood and wear a certain face in front of people in order not to miscommunicate your emotions. So how I did it was to rework on myself, that the people at this side of the where I came from to join here, I'm going back. How do I manage them? So one of the tricks I used, it took me 5 years to work on that. And I think that my mate Edwin will confirm that in class, when people are contributing, I must be frank, it looks to me like people are talking too much because I'm coming from a background where everything is straight to the point. But these characters will come, give preamble, long preamble, before finally, when they ask the question, they say, so couldn't this guy go straight to this? But I use it as a learning curve. Say, this is the trend, this is how they behave. So I need to tolerate it. Now, to impact on them, I must also demonstrate how it is done. So people may learn from me and I may also learn from them. That's how I did it. I used to go and sit at the then Golden Tulip after work, not because I want to go and drink. I just want to see how, when they come around that place, how they behave. Some will come, they close from work, they are walking anyhow. So I look at all this and say, hey, meanwhile, the people, where I'm coming from, they teach you that after work, you must dress well. Everywhere you are going, you must look good and all that. But somebody after work, no, he remove the everything. He's looking scruffy and he's come and see there. They are shouting. They are doing. I say, hey, this is evil. And all these things taught me a whole lot. So now when I sit or when I hesitate, language was key. For example, in the barracks, when they say madman, it's a to you it's an insult, right? Serious insult, but it's not insult to the military man. They say, oh, don't mind this madman. They will laugh. Then you are like, why are they laughing? It's just like a remark that, oh, don't mind him. But they will use the word madman. But if I dare use madman on you, it's wahala. So I had to listen, sit with my old schoolmates. When we are chatting, then I observe the language they use. Then I realized that anytime I speak, my language was different. So I needed to be informed about the kind of words I used because a lot of jargons have been taught and I was used to those jargons. So I needed to reprogram my whole thought process and pronouncements. If not, I'll be using, even the tone. It got me to a point where in the bid to, control it, I began speaking undertone because the military is about, hey, say, my friend, do you understand what I'm saying? It is not like you are intimidating, but that's the language. You say, do you know what I'm talking about? Say, yes, sir. Is it going to be done? Say, yes, sir. Better. But if I come and speak that language to you, the first thing will be, I think the union will form. They will come and say, who is this? So that's it. That's it. So emotional intelligence. Yeah, emotional intelligence. Yeah. Any other person? I hope we are picked something anyway. It's an interesting institution. Personally, I wish everybody goes there, but you will suffer small. Okay, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. A doctor, please. My question came around the leadership,
Mhm.
especially gender
Mhm.
in military service.
Mm.
And I work in engineering as well, and most time
Mm.
I'm surrounded by men,
Okay.
and I'm most less
Mhm.
like the babies.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like maybe since I start working, I'll always be like maybe the smallest about my colleague, and
Okay.
I faced the issue of the gender
Mhm.
into leadership
Mhm.
and also the age. Some people, I don't know how, like when I want to talk about like when you manage people and maybe you are maybe smaller or
Mhm.
into age,
Mhm.
people seem is feel like sometimes difficult to impose your authority. So I would like to know if in the military service or any of is the same and how women do to be able to be powerful leader.
Okay. The fundamental thing is that immediately, whether you are a lady or a gentleman. You step there, you are told that you are all gentlemen because gender wahala here. When it is about dying, you will die. It doesn't matter who you are. So they psych the mind in such a way that his input is as important as the lady's input. So they tend to respect the various views. Now, it may interest you to note that as times have gone on, they've gone to the extent of creating gender units in the military to reinforce the fact that there are diversities in humanity. Capabilities differ, but it doesn't destroy the fact, or it doesn't, you know, deny the fact that there are capabilities or there are differences. Is there? Now, the lady knows that when he's being pushed to the wall to do what he has to do, she has to do, it's the same way this guy will be pushed to the wall. There's no discrimination. For example, during training, there's nothing like people are in the bush and you are sleeping somewhere. The gentleman will sleep where you are sleeping. You are all there. The only thing they do is respect for your natural stuff, as in maybe where you go and take your shower or all those things. That one is not abuse. But in terms of what is available, it's the same to everybody. Now, if the lady commissions to become the leader, she is the leader. The authority given to Mr. A is the same given to Madam B. It doesn't change. And the members of the team knows that it doesn't matter whether she is a lady or he is a man. Authority is the same. That's why you see them now. They have promoted up to the ladies are generals as well as the men. They have established that thing. So back in there, when we are to carry the log, you see the electric pole, 1:2, one electric pole. So the lady, I can be your partner. When I carry here, you carry. I won't carry for you. You see how the mind is tuned. So the lady doesn't go about thinking that my capability is lower than this person. I must be treated in a special way. No. So she carries the same thing. And we all go. We all journey. So by carrying it, she is demonstrating to the gentleman as well that we are all in it together. So if she is managing a unit that is part of this project, I must trust that she has what it takes to deliver on the task along the line. That's the mindset. Now, where there is discrimination, the military has its own rules and regulations. It's the only institution in the world that has different laws apart from the national laws. The armed forces of Ghana is, ruled by at 105. Is separate from the system. So that's why when they tell you that we are going to deal with our people, it's not just based on somebody claims and caprices. So no, at 105 is there. It spells out insubordination. So insubordination is to a woman, is to a man. It's not about who does what. So if the soldier misbehaves, the punishment that will be meted out to whether it's a man or a lady is the same. If you are to spend time in the guard room, whether you're a lady or not, you go inside. So that's the kind of arrangements they have in place. There's nothing like, oh, let's consider the fact that she is this, or is it because she's a lady, that's why this thing was done? No. Misbehavior is misbehavior. Insubordination is insubordination. It doesn't matter who is involved. If you go and tell madam, we say, so for officers, they teach them what they call FOT, fundamental officer training, how to treat ladies, because an officer must be a gentleman. So if a lady gets into a room, all men are supposed to get up. Even though she's subordinate to all of them, they all get up because you call it FOT. you must be a gentleman. And gentlemen must do what they have to do. If a lady is going to a car, you must open door. So that's why sometimes the civilian ladies, they love us more than. Is it not true? So because we do the fundamentals, or somebody say, "Oh, please, can I?" You know, but somebody is, here the wife, they are going somewhere. He's in front. The wife is far behind. I mean, just by the way. But so in the military, fundamentally, the treatment is the same. A misbehavior is a misbehavior. And the gentlemen try as much as possible to respect the ladies. But the ladies don't take it as a weakness. They prove themselves that they have what it takes. If we are to go into the jungle, they go. They will not say, as for this one is for men. But when it comes to sharing the goodies, then we are available. No, they do it. So that's it. Ladies have gone to Congo, ladies have gone to Liberia. It's the same. When you are deployed and the rebels or whoever come, it's you. You are the commander there. You have to perform. You won't say, Akwesi, can you come and help me? No, you will not. So that's it. I hope I've answered you. Okay. Any other thing? Somebody is itching to ask a question. Ask who?
Yeah, Doc, thank you very much. I really appreciate your submissions. I had the opportunity to work with the military, that is the Directorate of Engineer Services, the 49 and the 48 engineers. And with the topic we are looking at, accelerating project success, you did mention about discipline. And it's something that I personally picked this training from the military at the Bema camp. The servant leadership. We were supposed to report, normally in the civilian side, we go to work at 8 a.m. But when I came to Bema camp, I realized that by 6:30 or 7 a.m., the military guys are there in the office. I was working as a quantity surveyor. I came there after 7, sometimes 8, and I was got punished. We had to carry some sand in a sack. I did that twice and my lifestyle changed. The next following, I think in the next 2 weeks or so, by 6 a.m. I was there. This thing started building up in me to the extent that I had the opportunity to become the National Service Vice President, and I started working with some of the major and the manpower, that is those who are in charge of the human resource. And I started seeing some attitude of when it is time for break, you will see the military guys or anybody, even civilian, out. When it's time for work, everyone is in the office working. The neatness within the environment or the community at Burma camp alone started changing my way of doing things. So I would like to add up to what you are saying, that to have accelerated projects, for projects to accelerate, that servantship leaders, skills, mentality, instilling discipline in ourselves, showing to them that, yes, this is how things must be done. And then our followers also emulate that same principle is very key to project success. So this an addition to what you just said. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing my people to inject blood into your head. That's how we do it. So sometimes you let people go and they put the leg is here, and then the head is down. So by the time 5 minutes the person wakes up, the eyes are a bit reddish. They say now enough blood has entered your head, so you can't think. By that time, the person will look sharp. When they say do this, go and do it. So we thank you for allowing that to happen to you. Any other thing? Otherwise, this is copy of my book. Um, Anybody who is interested can talk to the president. We'll get copies for you. It goes for 200 Ghana cedis. Copies are currently, new copies are being printed now. The first copies are gone. It was launched in Kenya, and Kenyans bought it with ease. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, we have a deficiency in reading. And so, but we like writing bulky project reports, which people don't even read. And when you ask questions about projects, they can't tell you because we don't read. But reading is good. Leaders who read are always on top of issues. Thank you for allowing me to market my books more. Thank you very much.
Please, before you go, we've got two questions from our online audience. So Kweku is asking, he says, first of all, thank you, sir, for such splendid presentation. Ghana has an average population of age 40, meaning youthful. Please, do you think for Ghana to develop 6 months mandatory national service should be implemented since graduates are the next leaders? And this is from Kweku Ahmed. And the second question is from Marcelina, and she's asking, what was one of the most challenging and shocking tasks that you encountered when you moved into the civil work environment?
Thank you for Kweku. The issue of national service personnel undergoing military training, I'm a strong supporter of that. More so, having been an instructor at the Army Combat Training School, I can be the first person to say everybody should go there. A paratrooper would never want people to be indisciplined because my parachute, the safety depends on somebody. Somebody's discipline depends on how safe or determine how safe my parachute will be. So for us to move and succeed as a country, discipline is key. We must inject it in the very core of the brain of our people. Today, indiscipline is on the increase. And I think that it is not about rigidity. It's about the discipline of the mind. The people who are far ahead of us, you note that they have a certain level of discipline injected in them. The US, the UK, the whatever, they go through military hands. Ours, where we lost it off, was at least through the scout system, where we were gradually instilling discipline. That not all everybody will go through the military, but the scout system groom people to become disciplined and good citizens. But we lost it along the line. We have in our books the National Service Act make provision for that training, that 6-month training, but somehow, somewhat, what what is responsible for its lack of execution or implementation, I don't know. But I think that I am a very strong proponent of that. In our time, it happened. Some of the guys who joined us at the military academy did their national service with a 3 months training before we all got enlisted at the Ghana Military Academy and did it. And it stays with you everywhere you go. It's something that will stay, so it is good. Then the second one, with regards to the, if you, a quick reminder, pardon, the shock, the shock, I think I mentioned it. Okay, no, not that one. The very one had to do with when I got to the place and he said they have sent the security guard to go and buy wachi. Did I mention it? Okay, I got to work day one. Hey, country manager. I got there at the gate. Nobody was there. The security was not there. Now I went to the reception and said, "Where's the secretary?" Say, "Sir, we have sent him to go and buy wachi." Hey, I was shocked to the extent that I couldn't utter a word. So I walked straight to HR. I said, "HR, are you aware the security guy is not there?" So yeah, early morning he goes to buy wachi. I said, "Wow." So I went to my office. Hey, oh boy. Then after some time, I went back to the HR. I said, "Have you ever sat down to think about how the absence of the security guy at the gates will impact on you in your office?" if somebody goes through and comes straight to your office, can you imagine what will happen? Then she now, even whilst I was talking, she was doing whatever she was. Then when I asked the question, then she raised the head and said, hey, wait a minute. I have not thought about that. Oh. But it's true. Because we have been doing it. Then from today, we will not send him. And I said, okay. I could have done what, use my and say, look, all of you from today, nobody will send us a security guy. I wouldn't have achieved what I wanted to achieve. But I needed to cool off by going to my office, reflect, and say, you are in a different environment. So handle them. As we call them, they are idle civilians. So that's how we call civilians, idle civilians. So when I spoke, she understood. And then from there, now she became the enforcer. Nobody should let the security guy do this, do that, do that. So my first shock, that was it. And I know that it happens in your offices. Security people are very, very key stakeholders, critical stakeholders. In security, strategy cannot be successful if you don't factor in security. Because in your project implementation, security, absence of security can derail everything. Is that not so? So why do we think they are an appendage? They are not. They are central to the success. But we treat them as if they don't matter. When you go home and you come back, what you come and see is their work because the things are in place. But if they play loose, you come, what you have done is gone. So please, let's give them that respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for this wonderful presentation. Can we please give Dr. Captain Abe a round of applause? I believe you've enjoyed this presentation. So I would like to invite the president of the chapter to do as the honors of presenting the citation.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you so much for choosing us to spend your Friday evening with us. And I believe